elsewhere as we start race one after the lunch period. Kaltron Supercars and Bejo Trustees fine cars. The safety car is in pit lane and the lights are on red. We are about to go racing as the hammers get dropped. Now you hear the revs pick up as they work their way into turn number one. That is the Supercars, and it's Glenn Phillips, Andrew Moffat, Carl Halleck is right in there as well. Yasin Darman goes pretty wide, and there's contact between Halleck and Moffat, and Moffat gets sent packing on the inside of turn one, Byron, as the fine cars get off the line.
The fine cars, that will be Arnold Lambert, will take the lead through the yellow flag zone, ahead of Gunther Appelgren and Robert Toscano in third position. Then it's Dave Alexander's Morgan in fourth position. We have another gang of cars, or gaggle of cars. Of course, it will be Natasha Tischendorf. That will be followed there by Chris Champion's MGA. And then, or the Austin Healy Sprite, I actually see in there as well. That's actually Di Dugmore. My apologies. And then rounding everything off will be Chris Champion, or is actually Roger Lewis that is in the MGA. Chris Champion, taking no further part in this race.
Right, going down the back straight is your Kaltron Formula Supercars, being led there by Glenn Phillips into turn 5 into Fostron corner. Carl Halleck is right in there with them. Then it is Yasin Darman and Rico Barlow, I think, is there in that fourth place. We'll have a look-see on the, yes it is Barlow in that 81 car, as the rest of them go through Fostron corner. To complete the lap, it is Moffat from Halleck, from Yasin Darman, racing down into turn number 1.
Well, the fine cars are in turn 5. They'll be opening up onto the main straight shortly. Right after the fine cars, there's the Jetta CLI of Arnold Lambert. Closing up the gap to him, though, that is going to be Gunther Appelgren as they charge towards turn 1. Right behind the fine cars, the tail end of the fine cars going through that section. And then Appelgren is going to look at the gap between himself and the man in front of him. That will be about 0.8 of a second when they cross the line. They'll be going through turn 2 shortly after, going on the Joubert Straight. There is Arnold Lambert running into that section.
Well, I'm watching this group of fine cars going through the kink, and Andrew Moffat is launching one massive comeback as they make their way into turn 3 Interceptor corner. He's now working his way through. He sits there behind Alistair Bosman as they head into turn 4 into Cyril Sweep. So Moffat, that was in trouble in turn 1, is right on the case of Bosman as they work their way down the back straight, and surely he'll get past that 43 car before they get into Fostron corner. He's lining him up as they get into Fostron corner, and he dives up on the inside, and Moffat makes that move stick and he works his way into P5.
The sharp end of the field in the fine cars heading down the back straight now and into Pertamina Fastron turn 5. They will emerge onto that the main straight shortly. Robert Toscano coming past the camera position in that particular section in the MX5. Look there on the back of him, not closing up too much though, is the Morgan of Dave Alexander. They're going to be opening up past the old bus stop chicane for the bikes, but Lambert crosses the line. It was 0.8 of a second the last time around between himself and Appelgren. It's now a full second as they break for turn 1. Then the gap between them, as it is going to be Toscano, Dave Alexander. Natasha Tischendorf is only coming out of turn 5 around about now. As I go back to turn 1, it looks like on the outside of Robert Toscano is a move from Dave Alexander. Will he have the run into the next turn, Castro corner? No, he won't. He'll go back onto the outside and make another attempt, which he will be denied.
Right, the Supercars are running down the back straight towards Fostron corner, and it's still all about Glenn Phillips that sits out there in P1, Carl Halleck in second, third is Yasin Darman, fourth is Rico Barlow, fifth is recovering Andrew Moffat as they race down into turn 5, but there's big gaps between them as they exit Fostron corner. Between them, then it is Alistair Bosman, behind him is Stefan Norkier, and then behind Stefan Norkier is Bradley Fenner as this group of cars makes its way into turn number 1 out of holes, and the leader there is Glenn Phillips.
Well, only about 5 fine cars in all, and that will be onto the main straight now, coming out of Pertamina Fastron. It looks visibly closer from our commentary position. Arnold Lambert still holds the lead for now, lap after lap, as he has only 5 laps left to go in this race. Arnold Lambert, though, will just hold it ahead of Gunther Appelgren, and just by a smidgen, about 8/10 of a second. Down the main straight, though, it's going to be a duel versus Toscano and Dave Alexander coming into turn 1 now. Once again, and like it was on the previous lap, you'll see them come out onto the Joubert Straight, that Morgan British Racing Green machine right behind Toscano and coming towards turn 2.
Right, the leaders heading into a Fastron corner. That is the supercar guys, the Kaltron Formula Supercars, and Glenn Phillips will lead them out of Pertamina Fastron corner. Glenn's also had a stint in a golf in Rallycross. He had a lot of fun there a couple of months ago here at our Rallycross track, and he leads the supercars across the line into holes, followed there by Carl Halleck in second. Yassine Darman is in third, and it is still Rico Barlow that sits there in P4. Moffat is in P5, but he is visually closing up on Rico Barlow as they head into turn 1, into holes.
Well, only 4 laps left to go, Frankie. When they cross the line, they've everybody's lapped Roger Lewis's MGA. So while we wait for the leaders in the class, they're coming into turn 1 ever so shortly. Here we go, underneath the City of Cape Town, Kaltron Wingfield Motors Bridge. It was 8/10 of a second between Arnold Lambert and Gunther Appelgren. It is now, well, it shows 1/10 of a second, but it's not that close, I'll tell you that much. Maybe a bit of a timing error, but down the main straight as well. Now another go from the Morgan into turn 1. It will be from Dave Alexander, side by side with the former champion Robert Toscano. The Mazda will poke the nose ahead now, forcing the Morgan to go the long way around. He won't make it work there. They go onto the Joubert Straight now. The wind still waving quite nicely through that section from the northwest. And now into turn 2, we run Castrol Corner. It's basically the same every single lap, trying the same move.
The supercars working their way out of Fastron corner, coming down towards us. There's lots and lots of huge gaps between them. Moffat sits out there, still in that 5th place, getting closer, but Phillips leads him across the line from Halleck in second. Then it is Yassine Darman in third. As a matter of fact, Moffat has caught up to Rico Barlow, and we might see overtaking maneuver. As a matter of fact, I'm almost certain that we will see overtaking maneuver, and we do. And it is Moffat going into turn number 1 that gets his nose ahead there of Rico Barlow.
3 laps left to go, including the one that the fine cars will be starting now on the main straight. They got a few of the fine cars, or a few of the supercars, still ahead of them at this moment in time. Down the straight, underneath the bridge, one more time. Again, it is still going to be a little bit of time between Lambert and Gunther Appelgren. 1.5 seconds, though, to be exact, coming into that first turn now. Look at the mighty gap they have between themselves and Toscano. Another move from Dave Alexander. He actually makes it stick this time, and the Morgan makes it up into 3rd place in the class before they get into the braking zone, and will then inch into turn 1 ahead of Toscano, who's coming full tilt almost over here, coming quite a hammer and tongs way into the corner, braking quite late.
Supercars working their way back out of turn 5 again to come around and start their penultimate lap. Out of Pertamina Fastron they come, and it is still Glenn Phillips, the man that sits out there in the lead. He's done a 1:26.814. That's the quickest time out there, followed by Carl Halleck and Yassine Darman 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Moffat is in that 4th position now and is getting away there from Rico Barlow as Moffat and Barlow cross the line. Then the next man coming out of turn 5 in that class, we'll just give them a mention, that is Alistair Bosman. And Bosman sits there quite some distance behind Rico Barlow, followed there by Stefan Norkier, Bradley and Bradley Fenner.
On the main straight we are now once again. The tail end of the supercars have the sky blue Jetta behind them, the 61 Jetta of Arnold Lambert of the Lambert family. And Gunther Appelgren is now 2.8 seconds off of him, and still the big gap between themselves and what is now going to be, of course, Dave Alexander. Dave Alexander heading ahead there as far as things are concerned in the Morgan. Across the line we then run now, and well, down the back straight now, Frankie, comes the leaders in the supercar section to complete the penultimate lap of the race.
Yeah, they're coming out of Fostron corner. They'll be starting their final lap. 126.814 is the quickest time out there for the supercars by car 54, Glenn Phillips. And he comes around and starts his final lap. One more lap to go for Glenn Phillips, for Carl Halleck and for Yassine Damon. They've got one of the fine cars in there between them. I think that's Natasha Tischendorf as they head into turn number 1. And then there's a massive gap now between Andrew Moffat and Rico Barlow. Moffat getting further and further away from Rico Barlow.
Down the back main we then run with the fine cars. Then the Jetta, who leads the way of Arnold Lambert, comes into turn 5, Pertamina Fastron, right on the back of the supercar ahead of him. He's got a considerable gap now between himself and Gunther Appelgren. Was 2.8 seconds. I would imagine it's grown to more than 3 seconds now as they start their final lap of the race. Then a little bit further down, Robert Toscano coming through into turn 5 now. Oh, slowing. Gunther Appelgren is slowing. Gunther Appelgren, who was running second, is slowing. There comes the Austin Healy of Di Dugmore across the line, still on the, not on the lead lap, he's a lap down. Then the Morgan of Dave Alexander and Robert Toscano coming towards turn 1.
Right, so coming out of turn 5 out of Fostron for the final time, the checkered flag is out. And the overall class, or should I say class and overall victory, will go to this man, Glenn Phillips, as he weaves across the track. It's 2 out of 2 for Glenn Phillips. Carl Halleck will finish in that second position. Third will go to Yassine Damon as he crosses the line. There's a couple of fine cars, 3 fine cars behind him. Oh, it's a blow up. Oh. It's not 3 fine cars, it's 2 fine cars and a blown up Andrew Moffat supercar that nearly got in the way there of Natasha Tischendorf. Wow, what a way to end your race day.
Big cloud of smoke across the main straight here. Meanwhile, though, the fine cars will be coming along, and they're coming now out of turn 5 at the present moment. Yellow flags will be waving in that section, of course, because they also might be oil down. I don't see any oil though, but of course he's parked to the side of the circuit. Here comes Arnold Lambert though, will take the win for the fine cars. And coming in second will still be Gunther Appelgren. Despite slowing down on the previous lap, he will limp home in second. He just maybe had a bit of a bad moment over there. He got it back up to pace again. And then Dave Alexander. We wait now for Dave Alexander coming now towards the line in the Morgan. He will make it to the line ahead of Robert Toscano and complete the race. Ahead of Robert Toscano, and then here comes the Austin Healy of Di Dugmore, rounding it off there ahead of Roger Lewis.
Well, while you were going through that lot, it wasn't just Glenn Phillips from Carl Halleck and Yassine Damon that finished first, second and third. Moffat, even though the motor blue, comes home in P4, ahead of Rico Barlow in P5, followed there by Alistair Bosman, Stefan Okier, Bradley Fenner. And even though you don't see him on the monitoring system anymore, for whatever reason, I think his transponder might have packed up, but behind Bradley Fenner was the 21 supercar of Craig Hume.
Well, thankfully,
well, what a way to end that race for poor Andrew Moffat.
Well, the officials are looking down at the circuit, Frankie. Thankfully, no oil has been dropped, and they'll have to push that supercar back. It's right at the pit exit, though, the marshals. So just have to push it back not too far from there. The supercar pits is right across the fence on the right-hand side. But yes, Frankie, what a way to end off your race. Yeah, in a big cloud of smoke.
Well, the marshals are pushing the car back in. Andrew Moffat has decided, man, I don't care. I'm just walking away because I think he sees a bank balance go down to get that car fixed up for next year. No, jokes aside, look, we said a motor blew. We just guessed. We don't know exactly what happened there. There is no oil out on the track. I see Andrew is standing. Andrew, is it a motor that's gone? You just gave me a thumbs up for something there, but is the motor finished? Yeah, he gives me a nod. The motor has said no more, so let's get that one sorted out for 2024.
The right action over there. It's not a thumbs up moment, Frankie, so I think he neglected to give you a thumbs up and just gave the shrug of the shoulders. And of course, the size of his arms spreading quite wide means it's a big one.
That's the size of the hole in the block.
But that was our Kaltron Formula Supercars and Bejo Trustees Fine Cars. We move on to the second race in the second half of the program, and that will be the Alert Engine Parts GTI Challenge.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the grand finale for Alert Engine Parts Volkswagen GTI Challenge. Here we go. First car, second car rolls out onto the circuit. Oompie Swart is out on track. Here comes a Kai van Sail. Skull Geldenhuis is moving out onto the circuit. So is Nathan Victor. Marco Boozy, got a DNF in race 1, is out there. Ian Cup is also working his way out onto the circuit. Clinton Besaidnot coming out.